This is what we caught on camera. Some protesters broke into the back of that truck. Those reports on the scene from some of our reporters last night, and they set the contents of that truck on fire.
Maybe 25 people on top of a CMPD cruiser. Looks almost like an SUV. Windshields are cracked, shattered. People on the roof kicking in the side windows.
But you can see, actually, there was a pretty big explosion there. We're going to take a step back.
Off of the ground, it has been a frightening night. We have seen one person shot, and now we have a vehicle stopped there in the middle of the road. And boy, it just gives us all pause because we don't know what's going to happen.
All those people in the car. Oh my gosh,
and
just drive.
Yeah.
Police have been strategically moving the crowd along. I just saw a crowd of people running along. If you take a look, Molly and Jamie, you can see the smoke.
Because you can see people running, so we're going to send it back to you. I'm not sure what's going on.
Violent protests on the streets of Uptown, people smashing windows and setting fires after the shooting death of Keith Lamont Scott this morning. A state of emergency is in effect for the city of Charlotte.
Protesters come up to that man and punch him in the head and knock him out pretty much cold on the ground. Now, he is actually a photographer at our CBS affiliate in Columbia. His name is Eric Alkire.
Born and raised in Charlotte, and this is my Charlotte. What we saw the other night was not.
We want to go back to Alex Stiles, who was live in the Alert Center.
Yeah, he's been following this breaking news, a shooting in the university area. Alex.
Jamie, Molly, I'm told we have Sky 3 on scene right now, so we're going to go ahead and take a live picture, if we can, of this situation. Again, this is on Old Concord Road in northeast Charlotte. We're being told it's the 9400 block. Medic is saying that one person does have serious injuries. If you were looking at a map, you would see that this is a residential area. Again, it's not too far from the UNC Charlotte campus. Looks like we do have some officers on the ground, though, in a wooded area. Not sure exactly what the situation is that led up to this gunfire. We've got a reporter on the way, on the ground. We hope to bring you live reports from the scene as soon as we can. We're going to continue to follow this one. Guys, back to you in the studio.
New information about an officer-involved shooting in Charlotte. We now know one person is dead. Alex Giles has been following this breaking news. He's live in our Alert Center. Alex.
Paul, Maureen, we've been watching this scene unfold here on Sky 3 from our live images. This is on Old Concord Road right now. There's a heavy police presence out there. As you just mentioned, sources are telling us one person is dead there at the scene of this officer-involved shooting. We are hearing the officer involved, though, is okay. Now, this is not too far from UNC Charlotte's campus on Old Concord Road. This is the 9400 block. There are several police officers on scene. What we've seen from Sky 3, this appears to be a townhome community or possibly an apartment complex there on Old Concord Road. We have one of our reporters, Sarah Blake Morgan, heading there on the ground now to gather more information. We're going to stay on top of this story and bring you the latest details about what led up to this gunfire as soon as we can. For now, back to you in the studio.
Breaking news, one man is dead, shot by an officer in northeast Charlotte. This is on Old Concord Road, where crowds are gathering. Police say the man they shot had a gun and posed an imminent threat. Welcome to WBTV News at 6. I'm Paul Cameron.
And I'm Maureen O'Boyle. WBTV's Sarah Blake Morgan is live there on the scene. Sarah Blake, what have you learned?
Well, Maureen, we actually just got a little bit closer to the crime scene. I'm going to step out of the way right now so you can see what police are doing. You see that van over there that the crime scene investigators are working on. Now, this is what police are telling us at this time. They say that around 3:54, officers with CMPD were searching for a suspect with an outstanding warrant. They were in this parking lot at this apartment complex when police say they located a suspect that was inside a vehicle. They say that suspect got out of the car with a gun. They say he then got back in the car and officers tried to approach him. At that point, they say that suspect got out of the car, and that is when police say they believed there was an imminent threat. We don't know exactly all the information about what happened there, but take a listen to what the chief had to say about 15 minutes ago.
As they engage him, he is armed with a handgun that we found on scene as well. Makes some imminent threat to them, and because of that, at least one of our officers fired.
So there are still a lot of questions out here that we're trying to find the answers to. We don't know what those warrants were that were being served out here. We do know, though, that no officers were hurt. That suspect is dead. Police said that they tried CPR, but he was pronounced dead at CMC. Now, as you guys mentioned earlier, there are quite a few people at this apartment complex that are not happy. In fact, one guy came over to us about 5 minutes ago and said there was about to be a fight with the police. But of course, lots of questions out here. We're going to work to get answers and bring them to you as soon as we get them. Back to you guys.
All right, Sarah Blake, thank you. Now, we just got into the Alert Center some video from the ground level that's been posted on social media. Here's Alex Giles. So what does this say?
Yes, Paul, Maureen, you heard Sarah Blake reference the crowds out there that were unhappy with police. We believe this video is from one of those people down there in the crowd. Someone was actually streaming this on Facebook Live. These are the people outside of this crime scene talking to the officers. You can see it was getting quite heated. At some points, they were in officers' faces. Again, this was being streamed live on Facebook. At one point, there were 30,000 people, 30,000 watching this live. They were yelling at police. They appeared to be upset, and we know they were definitely not happy about what had just happened in their community. There was some name calling, and we know that police did try to diffuse the situation at some point, but as Sarah Blake did tell us, obviously the crowds out there are still a little intense. We're going to continue to follow this story. Hopefully everything stays safe in that community tonight.
WBTV News starts right now with breaking news.
And that breaking news, a deadly officer-involved shooting in Charlotte. Good evening. I'm Maureen O'Boyle. It's good to have you with us. You are looking now live from Sky 3. This is unfolding on Old Concord Road. Police say they shot a man who they say they were searching for at an apartment complex here. Officers say he was armed. People are very fired up about this. There has been a huge crowd gathering at the scene. That's where we find WBTV's Alex Giles right now. So, Alex, what are you seeing there, and what do we know?
Well, Maureen, I can tell you there definitely is still a very large law enforcement presence as well as community presence out here. Tensions have been high at some points. As you mentioned, it did all take place behind me in this community. We were told that law enforcement officers were here searching for someone with outstanding warrants. They encountered a person in a vehicle who did have a firearm that was getting in and out of the vehicle. Officers approached that car, and then the man got out with the firearm, they say, and posed an imminent threat. That's when officers shot and killed that man. That is where some of the tensions have started. Family and friends from around the neighborhood have disputed some of what officers have been reporting to us out here. Police maintain that this person did have a firearm. Some members of the community out here have been telling us that is not the case, and this man had no threat to anyone on scene. We're still here talking to multiple people, gathering details about this situation. We'll have a complete report coming up later tonight on WBTV News, and we'll be here gathering details throughout the evening. Reporting live in Northeast Charlotte, Alex Giles, WBTV, on your side.
WBTV News starts right now with breaking news.
Breaking and live right now, protests erupting after a CMPD officer shot and killed a man police said was armed in University City. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this. It's been going on all night long. We've been following it. I'm Paul Campbell.
And I'm Molly Grantham. A lot of this playing out on social media as well. Our Sarah Blake Morgan has been out there in the midst of this for hours. She has seen it remain calm, and now escalating. You're in the middle of some of these protesters. We do have team coverage. You see Colleen, Sarah Blake, and Alex, but we're going to begin with you, Sarah Blake, because we know the protesters are behind you, and we want to make sure we know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, Molly, the intensity level has picked up in the past 10-15 minutes. Let's walk down so you can see exactly what's going on. We're trying to stay back a little bit because police have been using some type of gas. We did see some people running away with handkerchiefs on their faces.
We're looking at live pictures of Sky 3, and Paul, you and I are both seeing this. Everybody watching is seeing this. Maybe 25 people on top of a CMPD cruiser. Looks almost like an SUV. Windshields are cracked, shattered. People on the roof kicking in the side windows.
And once again, Sky 3 has its searchlight on there, the police helicopter as well. They have cracked the front windshield by stomping on it. They've been on top of this car. Again, we saw some of the smoke bombs go off just a few minutes ago. It is pretty much a bit of chaos going on.
And this is what we caught on camera. Some protesters broke into the back of that truck. There was reports on the scene from some of our reporters last night, and they set the contents of that truck on fire. You can see other video now from a bird's eye view of these protesters that are on 85. They were stopping traffic in both directions, so all 6 to 8 lanes were blocked overnight for at least an hour or two.
At a press conference this morning, Chief Kirputney told reporters a law recently passed by the General Assembly meant video of the shooting wasn't a public record. But that law doesn't take effect until next month. A police spokesman says Putney misspoke this morning, but is still denying our request for video, citing a different law that one local lawyer tells me actually says the video should be made public.
The video would certainly fall under subsection 3, which is the circumstances surrounding arrest.
Criminal defense attorney Brad Smith is talking about this part of the law governing public records, which says the circumstances of an arrest, which is applicable to this case because police were trying to detain Scott at the time he was shot, must be made public. The law specifically says police must provide records documenting resistance or the use of a weapon, which police say Scott had when he got out of his car.
Colleen Harry is live right now, and we're going to you guys when you tell us you're in a safe position to talk, not in danger. You're turning around and looking, Colleen. What do you have going on behind you?
Well, I see the crowd running, and I know police have been strategically moving the crowd along. I just saw a crowd of people running along. If you take a look, Molly and Jamie, you can see the smoke. I'm not sure if it's, I don't want to guess. I'm not sure what exactly happened. I can see the smoke going out here on Trade Street. A lot has been happening here on Trade. We're across the street from the Hyatt House, where we saw a young man kick in the front door, the front windows of the hotel.
Right now, things are fairly calm. I know it might look pretty intense, but at this particular moment, and I stress moment because 30 seconds from now, things could, quote, pop off again as they've been doing throughout the night here. But you can see, actually, there was a pretty big explosion there. We're going to take a step back as the crowds are starting to come this way. And again, this is what we've been seeing throughout the night here.
Now you can see down there, probably about 200 feet from where I am, that is where police are lined up closer to the transit center. They have pushed them further out because earlier it was all concentrated, all the people were concentrated in the middle of the epicenter, but still a lot of tense moments. As I said, there's not as many protesters out here as there were earlier today, but it's going to take a while for Charlotte to clean up from this because you can see people running, so we're going to send it back to you. I'm not sure what's going on, but we'll send it back to you in the studio.
And Brigida, you just got off the phone talking with people at the Hyatt House?
Yeah, I just called them here in the commercial break because we were hearing reports that 2 employees had been assaulted by protesters tonight in uptown Charlotte, so I finally just decided to call them and see if we could get confirmation. You see someone there trying to kick in the door, and I did confirm, spoke to someone at the front desk at the Hyatt House Hotel. That's right there next to Time Warner Cable Arena, and 2 employees were assaulted by protesters tonight. The good news is they should be okay. That is what the person who answered the phone told me. He was trying to help with that situation.
Hey guys, I just want to show you right from the source. Sir, how are we doing out here? We're completely night and day from what we saw 2 nights ago.
Absolutely. No, we're doing great. And the difference between Wednesday night and even last night, I think Charlotte saw what happened and they weren't satisfied with that. And so they came out, citizens, clergy, people who wanted to see something different and really help control the crowd and really help mediate conflict and help people make good decisions. And this is the result of that. So we're seeing very peaceful protests last 2 nights, and that's how we do it.
I've watched multiple exchanges between you and some of the protesters, some of these guys who are out here leading the movement. What are the kind of things that you guys are talking about?
We're talking about relationships. We're talking about each other. We're also talking about, relationships with the police department, the African American community, what we can all do better. The main thing is people come out to protest because they want to be heard. So a lot of times I just listen, and sometimes that's enough because I don't always have the answers.
Are you confident that this protest tonight is going to stay this way?
Absolutely. That's my hope.
Does it make you proud of Charlotte to see things like this as opposed to what we saw on Tuesday?
Absolutely. Born and raised in Charlotte, and this is my Charlotte. What we saw the other night was not.
Thank you, sir.
We know that this is not who Charlotte is. This is not who we are.
Mayor Jennifer Roberts speaking out about the nights of unrest in Charlotte.
Violent protests on the streets of Uptown, people smashing windows and setting fires after the shooting death of Keith Lamont Scott this morning. A state of emergency is in effect for the city of Charlotte as businesses clean up the damage this morning.
I want to show you some video, though. One of the first things we saw when we got on scene, if you can look towards the middle of your screen, there's a man in a peach shirt. Now, protesters come up to that man and punch him in the head and knock him out pretty much cold on the ground. Now, he is actually a photographer at our CBS affiliate in Columbia. His name is Eric Alkire. He was with the reporter Mary Sturgill. They were both attacked last night. They were taken to the hospital, but you can see in that video, Eric, the photographer, had to be dragged away by police and by a bystander. He was unconscious maybe for 15 or 30 seconds. He was able to walk away from the scene and go get checked out at the hospital.
At this morning's press conference, Mayor for Jennifer Roberts told me she and city staff were prepared for only peaceful protests last night, but additional sources with knowledge of the discussions regarding the city's response yesterday tell me Roberts didn't want to declare a state of emergency because she was worried about how it would look.
Why didn't you ask for those additional resources that could have helped keep the city safe sooner?
I'm sorry. Yeah. The question was to me, correct?
It was.
We were in conversation. I was in conversation with the governor early in the morning. During the day, the center city was peaceful. And during the day, we had indication of peaceful protests. We saw some peaceful protests.
Roberts says she was in communication with the governor's office and city emergency leaders, including Chief Putney, who ultimately did request the additional resources.
Team coverage tonight as we follow the latest developments on the deadly officer-involved shooting with Charlotte-Mecklenburg police. We're going frame by frame in the newly released video of the shooting. Sharon Smith will have that. Steve Crump is standing by at Little Rock AME Zion Church, where state NAACP leaders are calling for change. But we want to start with WBTV's investigative reporter Nick Oxner. And Nick, you've learned some city leaders are not happy with the mayor's handling of this delicate situation.
Yeah, Jamie, specifically, I spoke with City Councilwoman Claire Fallon, who tells me that at tonight's meeting going on right now here at the Government Center, she plans to call for an inquiry by the city's Governance and Accountability Committee into how Mayor Jennifer Roberts has handled the Keith Lamont Scott shooting and the following days of unrest. One of the reasons she says she's so unhappy about the response is what she calls the mayor's failure to keep council members informed of what has happened in the days following Tuesday's shooting. The turmoil that unfolded on the streets of Charlotte last week is set to spill over into the city council meeting Monday night, as Mayor Jennifer Roberts faces questions over her decision she made and how to respond to the unrest in the days following the police shooting of Keith Lamont Scott.
Our mayor dithered.
What makes you say that?
Because you have to make a decision. You don't dither.
Do you blame the mayor for the National Guard not being here Wednesday night?
I blame the mayor for the mess that we're in.
On Your Side Investigates first reported Thursday that Roberts delayed her decision to call in the National Guard and State Highway Patrol by more than 12 hours, until after a riot had already broken out in the streets of Uptown. A decision Fallon says she and other council members were never consulted on.
You were more concerned about how you would look than what you were doing to our city.
Roberts did not immediately respond to a request for an interview late Monday afternoon, but had this to say last week when we asked her why she delayed asking for assistance.
I think that's inaccurate to say concerned about appearances. What I'm concerned about is safety.